Hello, 2024. Right, let's hope this year's going to be as good as last year in terms of the tank. I thought I'd just make a quick video, first one for the year, mainly because I want to talk about my copperband butterfly, which has been in this tank for just over 2 months. So I've just come back from a very nice festive break to somewhere hot and tropical. And it's now freezing because I'm just outside London in the UK, and I think today the high is 3 degrees. So the fish are inside some warm, so I'll come out here to thaw out basically because the house is freezing. So yeah, so to quickly talk about the copperband, I have purchased. This is what happens when you're on holiday and you're bored. I bought a, you can see that. It's a Canon something 250D, so it's like a beginner entry level camera. So I thought this year I might play around with taking some maybe better pictures of the tank, etc. And maybe I was intending to use that to make this video, but this mic don't work on that camera for some reason. So I've just wasted 30 minutes trying to get the mic to work, and I was just like, oh, I'll just do it on the phone. So yeah, so rest assured the quality of my videos is very unlikely to get much better than this, to be honest, because I can't be arsed really. There's loads of people making very good videos out there. Why join the club? I can be exclusive and just make very mediocre ones. So if that's what you like, I should have called this channel just the Rambling Scientist or something, really, shouldn't I? But yeah, it's a hobby to me, so I'm not narcissistic enough that I want 6 million people following me on YouTube. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. I just like to come out, see what's on my mind, have a chat, put it to video. Some people may find them useful, lots of people won't. So that's what you're going to get, really. The quality may go a bit better with that camera. It might get worse actually, because they're more complicated to use than a phone, aren't they? Yeah, so this year I will be making some videos of, I think, what struck me last year actually, I suppose because it's all mine and I built it and I've lived with it for 3 or 4 years, there's nothing out here that I look at and go, wow. It's only when I have people visit, really, that I kind of get an appreciation of what I've got, I suppose. Obviously it's a big tank, you know, there's no denying that. 3,000 litres of water, it's 13 foot long, it's big. But I guess the other things is, you know, I run a Biz return pumps. I've got 3 of these pumps on this tank. I've got a huge external bubble skin deluxe 300 skimmer. You know, and calcium reactor. I've got a full 3 kilowatt battery backup. So all of these things combined, people come and go, wow, you know, this is quite a setup. So I think I've also got a Royal exclusive Dreambox sump. So I think what I'll probably do throughout the course of the year is make videos on each individual component in more detail. So I will talk about like the external skimmer. Bubble King, everyone goes, they are the absolute bee's knees, the best skimmer you ever buy. And I'm like, yeah, it's 2.5 grand for something that makes bubbles. Is it worth it? I'm pretty sure I could have saved at least £1,000 and probably not noticed any difference, if I'm honest. Yeah, there's a few things with that skimmer that, you know, I had some issues with it when it first came to me, because it was sent from the factory in, well, it shouldn't have been shipped as far as I was concerned. I don't know what their quality control was, but I think it must have missed it. But there's other things on it as well that I just look at it and think, like the bubble plate, you can't get the bubble plate out, so you can't clean it properly without having to take the whole thing down and flush it, and it's a real pain in the arse. They could have just split the bubble plate in half and made it clamp together again in the thing, and then I could have got it out, and then you can get to the bottom to clean it. So it's really, you know, to me that seems an obvious thing to do, but I don't know. So anyway, I will make videos and be brutally honest of what I think about things. Because the nice thing is actually is that none of this is sponsored by anyone. I bought everything out of my own hard-earned cash, so I don't owe anyone any favours. I've been approached by some companies to make videos on their products. That's not something I want to do because I don't want to start faffing around with stuff over my tank just to test out someone else's product. So then if I did want to do that, I'd have to set up another tank, which was kind of on my agenda to do this year, not to test equipment, but I was going to have a stab at getting a mated pair of copperband butterflies, but I'm not ready yet. I was kind of rushing it, and so I need to wait. And the energy prices have all just gone up again, so you know it's going to be another rough year for paying for everything, I think. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're going to be for 2024. I'm going to aim to try and get, I don't know, 500, I don't even know how many I've got. Let's say 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Because even I find it hard to believe 500 people around the world are going to sit and watch these videos, but I guess you're bored. A lot of people watch stuff, don't they? Now, I'm going to talk about the copperband because I've been away, as I've just said, over the Christmas and New Year to somewhere very nice, and I've come back. I suppose when you go away from the tank, I mean, because I'm out here every day, you tend not to notice things really, but I was aware of the amount of Aiptasia in this tank, which is why I put the copperband in to start with. So as you may know, I was using peppermint shrimp, and they did a great job really for the first year or so. I mean, I didn't have any Aiptasia for the first year, 18 months, I think. But it's, you know, you buy LPS and it's just virtually impossible to keep them out really. Yeah, so the peppermint shrimp were doing a good job. I had about 20 in here, I think. And then I put that Lenardi wrasse in, who is just slowly but surely, I think, managed to catch and eat most of them. And so then I noticed Aiptasia numbers are creeping up. Excuse me while I take a swig of my tea. So I thought, right, there's not a massive amount of options, is there, of Aiptasia really? So nudibranchs are going to be a waste of time. One, because they're probably the most expensive animal on the planet if you look at the cost per gram of animal, and a lot of places don't seem to have them in stock that often, and then the wrasse will probably eat the vast majority of those that you put in your tank anyway. And I've already said the peppermint shrimp are out, so I decided I could either do the Australian stripy or a copperband butterfly. So I don't know if you can get stripies in the UK at the moment. They might come in because they seem to be quite popular in other countries, certainly Australia. But it seems to be that the small ones are good, and then you have to shift them when they get bigger because they start eating things you don't want them to eat. So the copperband does make more sense if you're prepared to get over the you know, the initial finding a good one, get it feeding, get it habituated to your tank without too much stress, etc, etc, etc. So I've done all that, and I mentioned that in the previous video how I QT'd it. I've got it in. I mean, it's the last fish in to the tank. I don't know how many fish are in this tank, 40 fish, there's 15 tanks in there, but I've got him in, he's settled in, he's happy. And what's amazed me, to be honest, is in 2 months, or just over 2 months, he has absolutely decimated the Aiptasia in this tank. And I don't think really, and this is the kind of point I'm trying to make in the video, is for a fish that size, because he's not a big copperband, he's quite small, he's probably 3 inches maybe. That's a 13 foot tank, 3.5 front to back. That's a big tank for one fish to decimate. I mean, there was a lot of Aiptasia in there as well. I mean, it wasn't absolutely smothered, but on the back where I can't, you know, I have difficulty reaching. There were some whopping Aiptasias in there. They were like the size of bubble tip anemones. They were massive. And even though there are still some, they are, one, much reduced in number. I'll probably say he's taken probably 95% of the Aiptasia out of the tank in 2 months. And even the massive ones, I mean, they were like that. They were huge. And he's got them down to where they're probably like the size of my fingertip now, and he's obviously still going back and taking them out. So I was amazed how just one fish can have such a effect on a big tank. So that kind of brings you on to thinking, okay, so if he spent 2 months decimating all that, he's eaten a lot, so he's had a lot of food in the last 2 months. So now it's gone. Is this the time when a lot of people go, my copperband's losing weight, and will he eat what I'm feeding the rest of the fish in order to sustain himself? Now he's run out of a kind of big bulk of Aiptasia in his diet. I can't answer that obviously because I can't tell the future. But what I will say is I have changed the feeding of the tank very slightly, because I had a copperband before, about 4 years, and he was a real pain in the arse because he was the most slowest, delicate, timid little fish I ever had in my life. I mean, I know they're quite like that anyway, but not all of them. This one's quite bold compared to the other one. And to get him to feed, I had to put easy reef mastic on the glass basically every single day, which for most of the time is not really an issue. The tank was in my office as well, so you know, but it's just every day you got to put that on the glass. You think, Jesus. And he was so slow at eating, it was painful to watch, and that's why I never put one in here. Otherwise, if I'd have thought I could get a good one like this guy, I probably would have put him in a lot earlier, and then I never would have seen the Aiptasia, to be honest. But he was such a pain in the arse. I mean, I had him for 4 or 5 years before I broke the tank down and moved him on. But it kind of put me off, to be honest. And my yellow tank hated him as well, so I had to move him out of my main display tank and put him in my kind of tranquil mangrove tank that I had. Yeah, so all those things kind of put me off copperband. I was just like, they're too much of a pain. And I never thought I'd get one in with all the tangs, which has surprised me as well. So all I've tweaked in the feeding machine is I'm adding cubes of frozen bloodworm, because he absolutely loves frozen bloodworm. So I have this is my pot of food here. So most of that is mysis, and I feed some Reef Frenzy, and there's also 2 cubes of bloodworm. And so he picks them really well out of the water column when I feed. So all the tangs go mad for the mysis because they're a bit bigger, and him and the little, I've got a Marcella butterfly in here as well. So see me pick that food up. Yeah, he quite likes the bloodworm as well. Excuse me, I'm getting over a lovely British cold. It's the gift I got from returning from somewhere nice and tropical. Yeah, so basically that was it really. I was very surprised at how such a small fish in such a big tank can have such a marked effect. So I would say that if you've got a copperband in a smaller tank, which the vast majority of people will have, and you're putting him in there because you wanted to do your Aiptasia, or deal with your Aiptasia, and most of them will, it's not going to be long before he's going to need something else major to feed on, because Aiptasia is not going to sustain them in a smaller tank. I mean, if it don't sustain him in a 13-foot tank, certainly not going to sustain him in a 5-foot or a 6-foot tank. Yeah, so it's just, yeah, so it is. It's been surprising, to be honest, how quick he's taken out. I mean, he's like that big. I mean, it's you know, I'm such a surprised that a fish that small can have such a massive effect on such a big tank. I mean, it's brilliant. I love it. I mean, it's one of those very few times, I'm going to touch wood, in this hobby where I've bought a fish which is supposed to be a very difficult fish to keep. I've QT'd it, I've introduced it in with a load of tangs, and it has fitted in absolutely perfectly. So yeah, so that's basically it really for that video. I'll just chuck some food in while I'm sitting out. I don't know how well this camera will pick that up, but then that's their. I don't know. You see that? You can see that copperband. That's it. Yeah. So he's eating the bloodworm. So interestingly, I've never fed bloodworm to this tank because to me it was always a freshwater food. So I'd never even bought it. So it was only that Tony at Coral Passion, who sold me the butterfly fish, the copperband, told me that they love it. So I buy it on a regular basis now. So it's just a little tip for anyone who's struggling to get their copperband feeding. Try some bloodworm. I mean, they're all different. Each fish is individual, but for me, it's worked an absolute treat. And I mean, to be fair, the other fish eat anything, so they eat it as well. But it's nice to know that copperband is getting a good feeding every time I feed the tank. So that, I think, is it. I think that will do for today's video. I will try and work out how to make videos on that camera to see if they're any better or not. I don't know if they will be. Yeah, and I think that is it for this video. Can't think of anything else I need to talk about. No dramas, no, that's it. Right, I will see you in the next one.